I started to do this work, I left Ireland, and then I went to Budapest, and then I was like panicking then, thinking, oh my God, I gave up my finances. I have to create finances because I want to do healing work. There's no money in healing work. It won't pay the rent and it won't bring in food for me. So I must have 2 different jobs. So I created another business, and the business was running, and I was doing the 2 at the one time. Now, there was a point where it stopped work. I felt there was something wrong here. And what was wrong was the fact that I felt I needed to put on caps, a different cap for every job I was doing. And I was separating them. So I was separating, like I had an investment company there. So I was staying, I had a cap for the investment company. I had a cap for, I was going to hospitals, and working with people with cancer. I was working with many different people. So, the 2 didn't match in my reality, and they were totally different. And I could feel something inside me was really it wasn't working. There was something in this that didn't feel right. And it was exhausting to do the 2 like that. But one day I let the caps go, and I allowed the 2 of them merge into one. And from that point, all the projections I put on the people that I was working with, the business people I was working with, they were completely open to my work. They were more open nearly than most people in the spiritual world, and they needed it, and they asked for it. And then something as well in the spiritual world opened up. So it's like they started to merge together. So I would I would recommend people stop to use caps and embrace, be yourself, and don't make yourself small for anyone. Be yourself, shine, be a lighthouse, and with all your talents of the nurse, of doctor, of the butcher, of whatever you're doing, be yourself and don't hide it, don't be ashamed of it. And then you create something new. And that's something very tangible, and that will flow much more. And you're not, separating yourself, splitting yourself in pieces. So I would say, Light Grits, what I believe Light Grits is about making everything, bringing all your uniqueness, all your talents into one, into the heart, and integrating it this way, and being true to yourself, clear with yourself, honest with yourself. When I had my first business, my intention every day, when I was working for myself, I had a number of employees, was that I would always, my goal in every day at the time was to always put something into the business before I went home, that I always gave something to the business, that I always felt I would give something. I always put something, coal on the fire, I always kept the flame running. And that's what I would expect from everybody who worked for me, that they would always put something into the business. Because if there's somebody not putting the coal into the fire, the log onto the fire every day, of whatever it may be, then the fire is going to, somebody else is going to have to keep putting it on for somebody else. And that's an imbalance there. And that would be a problem. That's going to become a problem in the business for all the people around who's in the business. So the system would slow down maybe because of this person, or it could be, the flow is disturbed by a particular person who is not putting the fuel into the fire. I found that very challenging working with spiritual people in the basis that they would have a past life topic with me, or one topic would come up, and then they'd stop working with me, or they wouldn't work that day. And for me that was very frustrating and very unprofessional. I take self-responsibility that if I'm in a job, I'm in a job, and I will do what I'm meant to do in that job. I will follow through with it, and I will stay true to myself, even with my past life going on and my topics going on. I was giving a workshop the weekend, and there was a group there, and I was deep in a trauma state, my own topics, bawling my eyes out during the workshop, still holding the space. I didn't allow this to interfere in the work, and I didn't go into the corner and be a victim. I stayed with my inner child, I stayed with the group, and I stayed with myself and my own topics on every level, and held the space still. And this was the truth. This is what was in my system, but also is in my system that I'm in front of a group and I'm holding the space for the group, and it's important for the group. So I stay with the group. I have self-responsibility. I chose that path. So if I'm in a job, if I have something to do, I will do it. That's the contract I signed, that day. So I wouldn't say, well, I have a past life with you today, so I'm not giving this interview. There's something between us. I would go over, I would go through that with you. I would talk about it. I would face it and still work with you.